Today on Public Eye News, the state of Michigan is dismissing a reproductive freedom suit, and later, Secretary Blinken confirms his ironclad support for the Philippines.
Later, our Jackson Spencer will have your preview of a chilly week ahead, and Austin Graham will have your sports breakdown. I'm Melissa Santour.
And I'm Luke Niddle, and you're watching Public Eye News. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel filed a motion yesterday to dismiss a lawsuit brought forward by Right to Life Michigan and Republican lawmakers. The lawsuit looks to outlaw the right to reproductive freedom, which Nessel dismissed based on the lack of a substantial claim. After the ruling of Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022 by the United States Supreme Court, the ruling of laws pertaining to abortion was returned to the contingent states, rather than at the federal level. In the case of Michigan, voters passed Proposal 3 to amend the state constitution to keep the right to reproductive freedom. The lawsuit was brought forward to Nessel in January of this year and was amended after being dismissed before being brought to Nessel once again yesterday. And Michigan's top carrot outputs will decide on the future of the carrot industry developmental program in a referendum that will be conducted by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Ballots will be sent by the MDARD on March 25th, with eligible producers needing to have sold carrots for human consumption valued at more than $1,000 in any one of the last 3 years. The developmental program was created to improve the overall position of the state's carrot economy by creating better marketing, advertising, and promotion. By law, voting must commence every 5 years for grower approval. In order for a renewal, more than 50% of voters must pass it.
Following a new rewritten bill, Michigan could no longer be the last remaining state in the nation with a criminal ban on paid surrogacy contracts. Under current state law, an agreement reached between a woman who acts as a surrogate and then hands over parental rights to the child is, quote, void and unenforceable, end quote. However, the state legislature has passed a new rewritten law allowing an individual can enter an agreement to become a surrogate if they are at least 21 years old, have previously given birth to a child, undergone medical and mental health exams, and have independent legal representation. Governor Whitmer has stated that she will sign the bill when it reaches her desk. And the Michigan Department of Natural Resources is reminding everyone that black bear season is upon us and urges the importance of removing your bird feeders from your yard while they forage for food. It's also important to bring in any outdoor pet food and to secure your trash bins in your garage, as they're the perfect buffet for a hungry bear. To learn more about the precautionary action you can take, visit michigan.gov/wildlife. And in Wisconsin, lawmakers are reacting to the announcement that pharmaceutical companies are behind some inhalers are capping out-of-state costs. AJ Bayatpour of WDJT has the report.
It really shows that transparency, shining that light, can bring costs down.
At a roundtable event Monday, Senator Tammy Baldwin suggests Monday's announcement about AstraZeneca capping out-of-pocket costs for inhalers is connected to an investigation she and 3 other senators launched in January. They're looking into why inhalers cost so much.
Maybe feeling a little heat? Feeling a little pressure?
AstraZeneca and Boehringer Ingelheim have now pledged to cap out-of-pocket inhaler costs at $35 starting June 1st. They are 2 of the 4 biggest inhaler makers.
So it can be criminal at times when it comes to the cost of these medications.
Tyler Anderzak at Hyatt Pharmacy says it's one of the most common issues he sees.
We definitely encounter patients at least on a weekly basis that have issues with affording their inhalers. A lot of times that will lead to patients rationing their supply.
Anderzak says while he welcomes the manufacturers committing to a lower out-of-pocket cost, one question he has going forward is what will happen with pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs. They act as the middleman, and right now something he says that happens often is they will steer patients away from the cheaper generic drug and instead steer them toward the more expensive name brand product.
Not have the cheaper inhaler or not have the cheaper inhalers be available to the public.
We reached out to Eric Hovde, the Republican challenging Baldwin for her Senate seat. He said in a statement, quote, "As someone who has lived with multiple sclerosis for the last 30 years, I know personally how out of control prescription drug prices have gotten. The status quo is unacceptable. We need to reduce costs for patients. As for how that should happen, Baldwin says it could help if inhalers become one of the next items whose price Medicare can negotiate. For now, she adds, public pressure seems to be working.
I have to say that the fact that we launched an investigation, and we've seen 2 companies now voluntarily lower the out-of-pocket price for inhalers, that's heartening, but it's not enough.
In Wauwatosa, AJ Bayatport, CBS 58 News.
Now, don't touch that dial. Jackson Spencer will be right back with your weekend weather forecast, taking a look to the clouds right after this break.
I'm Samantha Brown. For 20 years, I've been traveling the world. And the biggest lesson I've learned is that every destination, from a big city to a small village, has a soul. And there is an effort that goes into cultivating that soul, and that effort comes from the people. This is why I have a love of travel. And why these are my places to love.
Watch it right here, tonight at 5.
Welcome back, I'm Jackson Spencer, here to bring you your public eye weather. And moving on to the roof cam, it's looking a little cloudy, a little snowy, not much sun, which is unfortunate, but. Moving on to the map, excuse me, the map across the UP. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. I'll just use the paper. In Houghton, it is 17 degrees and a bit cloudy. Ironwood, 15 degrees and cloudy. In Iron Mountain, it is 20. Oh, looks like we got the map. Iron Mountain, it is 20 degrees and cloudy. It's looking cloudy all over the UP. In Menominee, it's 26 and getting a little sun down there. Then moving over to the east side. In Escanaba, it is 23 degrees and cloudy. Manistique, 23 and cloudy. 21 in Sault Ste. Marie, also getting some sun. And then in Marquette, it is 17 degrees and cloudy. And then moving on to current conditions, we have winds of northwest at 22 miles an hour, barometric pressure at 30.15 inches and rising. And then for tonight, it is going to be cloudy with a low of 20 and winds northwest at 17 miles an hour. Then moving on to tomorrow's conditions, we're going to get some sun with partly cloudy skies, and then with a high of 27, low of 18, sorry. Winds north-northwest at 10 miles an hour. And then looking ahead this week, Friday, we're going to get a high of 29, low of 14. Going to get some snow. Saturday, a high of 27, low of 15. We're going to get some sun. And Sunday, high of 32, low of 25, and some more snow. And that is all the weather I have for you today. Back to the news desk.
Thank you for that weather update, Jackson. Hopefully we'll get a break from those pesky clouds and flurries sometime soon. Jumping back into some more national news, a new law proposed by Texas to arrest immigrants after illegally crossing the border has once again been put on hold. The decision was passed by the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals just hours after the Supreme Court allowed Texas to implement the new immigration law. A conservative majority of the Supreme Court rejected an emergency application from President Biden's administration, which declared the law a, quote, clear violation of federal authority that would cause chaos in immigration law, end quote. The Department of Homeland Security stated that they, too, would continue the disapproval of the law that would further complicate the landscape of their already strained workforce. The agency would not enforce the law, which is now known as Senate Bill 4. The law is considered to be one of the most radical attempts to control immigration since an Arizona law a decade ago. And Secretary of State Anthony Blinken reaffirmed today Washington, D.C.'s firm commitment to help the Philippines in a clash with China over the South China Sea. Increasingly aggressive actions by the Chinese forces in the South China Sea have sparked increased tensions with the Philippines. Just 2 weeks ago, Chinese Coast Guard ships used water cannons against Philippine vessels in a confrontation that injured a Filipino admiral and 4 sailors. Chinese officials claim that their Coast Guard took controlled measures against Philippine ships that illegally intruded into Chinese territory. The U.S. is obligated to help defend the Philippines due to a 1951 mutual defense treaty that states defense must be used if the Philippines come under an armed attack anywhere within the South China Sea. And spring is here, and that means an end to the warmest winter on record. In a new report, the United Nations Weather Agency is sounding a red alarm about global warming. CBS's Tina Krause reports from London.
Global temperatures shattered heat records last year, and the United Nations says 2024 will likely be even hotter.
Every fraction of a degree of global heating impacts the future of life on Earth.
The UN's weather agency says 2023 delivered chart-busting increases in greenhouse gases and land and water temperatures, along with melting glaciers and shrinking sea ice.
This annual report shows that the climate crisis is the defining challenge that humanity faces.
The UN climate chief says fossil fuel pollution is sending climate chaos off the charts and warns changes are speeding up. Scientists say the world's average near-surface temperature last year was 1.45 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, critically close to the 1.5-degree threshold countries agreed to avoid passing in the 2015 Paris Climate Accords.
There's still time to throw out a lifeline to people and planet. But leaders must step up and act now.
Climate experts hope nations around the world will answer the distress call with precise plans for change. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
And wait right there. After this short break, Austin Graham will have a March Madness update and more in your Public Eye Sports Breakdown.
Season 2 of Maria's Portuguese Table is here. Join me, Maria Lawton, as I explore Portuguese culture through food, history, and heritage. Come discover places near and far, all while savoring delicious bites along the way.
Reminds me of eating dinner at home with my mother.
It really is. So join us. You will always have a seat at Maria's Portuguese Table.
Welcome back. I'm Austin Graham, and this is your Public Eye Sports Report. Starting off on the ice, the Detroit Red Wings took down the Columbus Blue Jackets last night in overtime. After going down by 2 goals in the first period, the Wings clapped back with 2 unanswered goals from Lucas Raymond and Mo Sider in the second period. Detroit was down 3-2 in the third until Raymond scored his second goal of the game to tie things up with 12.6 seconds remaining. In the first minute of overtime, Patrick Kane scored the game-winning goal, sending the Red Wings past the Blue Jackets 4-3. Detroit is still trying to make a push for the postseason, and they currently hold the last wildcard spot for a playoff berth, but they're still fighting to maintain that position with the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders. The Wings will host the Isles tomorrow night at 7. And bouncing things over to the NBA, the Detroit Pistons are set to host the Indiana Pacers tonight, and they're looking to snap their 3-game losing streak. The Pistons are coming off of a 119-94 loss to the Boston Celtics, while the Pacers are fresh off of their loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The last time these two squads met was in February, which saw the Pacers come away with the win 129-115. The Pistons are currently averaging 14.8 turnovers per game and are shooting 46.8% from the field, while the Pacers average 16.3 fast break points per game, best for 4th in the NBA. Detroit is still without their star guard, Cade Cunningham, who is dealing with a knee injury, and they'll also be without Asar Thompson, who is battling an illness. Tip-off is set for tonight at 7 in Detroit. Keeping things on the court, the Michigan State men's basketball team is set to open NCAA tournament play against Mississippi State tomorrow in the West region of the bracket. Spartans enter the tournament as the number 9 seed, while Mississippi State will enter as the number 8 seed. MSU barely made it into the national tournament this year with a 19-14 overall record and a 10-10 Big Ten conference record. This will be head coach Tom Izzo's 26th straight appearance in the Big Dance, extending one of the longest streaks in college basketball history. Izzo has acknowledged that the Spartans haven't had the season he hoped for, but he still believes that his team can play at their best when it matters most. Tip-off for tomorrow's game is set for 12:15 p.m. in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's all I have for sports today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you for that sports update, Austin. About the Red Wings, I am personally a Blue Jackets fan, so I enjoyed the first 59 minutes of that game. But how did you feel about that game?
I was really happy our Wings pulled through in the end. Patrick Kane knows how to wrap it up.
Yeah, they sure do. That was a tough pill to swallow, but unfortunately that is all the time we have for today. I'm Luke Middle.
And I'm Melissa Santour, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.
Thanks for watching Public Eye News. You can subscribe to our YouTube, tune into WNMU Channel 13 every weekday at 4, or follow our Instagram at NMU Penn to never miss a story.